Is your stomach a graveyard? Let's talk about it. There's an effort by some people to try to make the people on this planet as primitive as possible. You know, a lot of times when I say the early man was a gatherer, he gathered fruits, people want to debate that and say early man was running around chasing a rabbit. But you could just use some common sense. If you were just created on this planet as a full-grown adult and you were in a natural environment, it seems to me that if you've seen a bunch of fruit that you could just pick, you would go for that rather than running around trying to set traps and catch animals. It's not that easy to catch animals. It's very easy to just pick up an apple that has fallen off a tree. It's very easy to pick berries. Most of these people that try to say early man was a meat eater, they go by the same researchers that distort history racially. You know, history has always been distorted for the purpose of race and for the purpose of business. So you live in a society that makes a lot of money off of selling you poison and selling you meat. So of course, the powers that be are going to say early man was a meat eater. If you watch the History Channel, of course they're going to say early man was a meat eater, because in between segments of the show, they're going to run Arby's commercial, McDonald's commercial, Burger King commercials. Duh. Of course they're going to show you that all of the people in the Bible were white, because the people that run the television are white. But studies have shown that some of the earliest people they found in Kemet, that when they did the research, all they ate was fruits and vegetables. Now, the crazy thing about it is, while a person wants to take your mind back into savagery and look back to give you an excuse to eat meat, I'm telling you to look forward and look at the present. Look at cancer today. Because going back and having somebody telling you that primitive man ate meat, what is that going to do for you when you end up on the operating table, when you end up getting chemotherapy, when you end up getting radiation, when you end up getting all type of operations on your kidney, your spleen, your liver, when you get colon cancer, when you get stomach cancer, when you get rectal cancer. Is history going to come back and fix that? Ask yourself this. Is your stomach a burial place for dead animals? Animals that were unjustly slaughtered? That's what your stomach is for, to bury animals? Your stomach is a graveyard? When you fix dinner or you have dinner with your family and you all get up, is it just like a whole lot of bones and skin on the table? Look like a vulture just got finished eating? Because you're supposed to be on a higher plane. You're not supposed to be acting like a shrimp or acting like a vulture or a rat. You don't do anything else like a rat. You don't do anything else like a hyena or a vulture. Show me a hyena or a vulture that builds buildings, that has aircraft, that builds restaurants. The fact that you even have restaurants show you that you're supposed to be sophisticated. You're not supposed to be a savage. But there's a big battle on this planet for pleasure. People are being brainwashed that pleasure trumps sanity. And it doesn't just stop with the food. You know, you see these meat eaters all the time say, oh, life is too short to be a vegan. You see, the key word is short. They're admitting that they ain't going to live long. They are putting out the expectation of a short life that's worthless. So you might as well not even care. But what I want to say is, if life is short, why would you spend half of it going to the doctor? Because the saying that you're going to die anyway is not true. You could be sick for a long time. I told this story and I'm going to tell it again. My father was sick and I was here taking care of him. And I said to him one day, Dad, man, maybe if you would have listened to me, you and Mom, back in the late 70s, maybe you all could have avoided the cancer and the Alzheimer's and the Parkinson's and all of these problems. He said, boy, you're going to be just like me. I said, Dad, you're 80-something years old and you've been on pills since you was 40. I'm 57. I'm already better than you. I surpassed you by 17 years already. I ain't on high blood pressure pills and all that. You've been sick half of your life. It's not meant to put all that dead flesh in your stomach and let it sit there. Now, people will say, well, older people ate it and they did fine. Here's the difference. Back in the days in Alabama, with my grandmother, grandfather, great-grandmother, you would go all the way back from the 50s back, from 1950 back. From them times, when the people ate, yes, they ate meat. But anybody knows, I'm telling the truth, that would go down south to grandma and them house, especially if you're older. How many courses were those suppers? How many courses are those breakfasts? So when you sit down at the table, yeah, there might be some type of meat there, some chicken or something. But there's so many string beans, so many sweet potatoes, so much okra, so much corn on the cob, that when you eat that and it goes into your stomach and the meat is in there, you have those vegetables in there to break that down. Those vegetables are going to come out. They're not going to stay. They're going to loosen up your bowels. So, of course, when those vegetables come out, what does it do? It flushes the meat. When we were children and I would go down south, I would stay all summer. That's why you can't mess with me. I'm a city guy and a country guy. I would go and stay in Alabama all summer as a kid. And we'd be outside playing and they say, y'all come in here and get some watermelon. That was our snack. And you would eat watermelon till you don't want to eat it no more. Why? Because my grandfather was growing them right there on the farm. So we're eating all these fruits and vegetables, then the meat is going to come out. But look at your generation now. A lot of the stuff you're eating is cake, bread, real stuffy things, a lot of potatoes. And then, so you eat meat and potatoes. The potatoes is starch. You see how you go to McDonald's and buy your French fries and they be all soft? And if you don't hurry up and eat them, what happens? They turn to bricks, don't they? So that means after you eat them and chew them up and you make this mush and it goes in your stomach, because that's not even potatoes. That's all type of artificial stuff. Anytime you got a potato and you cut the potato's going to start browning if you don't soak them in water or something. But they got these French fries you could put in the freezer and take them out and they'd be white as snow. So when you eat these bleached artificial potatoes and smash them up in your stomach with meat, it gets in there and hardens. So now you're not having proper bowel movements. Meat eaters don't have proper bowel movements. See, one thing about it is a meat eater can't tell me nothing because I was born and raised a meat eater. I ate meat until I was like 20, 21 years old. So I know. I ate meatloaf. I ate hot dogs and hamburgers and sausages more than the average person. I was a greedy little skinny kid. People say, where did it all go? And I remember sitting in the bathroom for hours trying to use the washroom. My mother coming to the door, knock on the door and saying, are you all right? No, I'm not all right. You just fed me some meatloaf. Now, you can listen to some fool tell you to eat meat, but that fool is not going to come to the hospital. They're not going to hold your hand when you go have radiation or chemotherapy. They're not going to go visit you when you have congestive heart failure. And it's a shame that the doctor is a savage. So the doctors you go to see are limited what they can tell you because they don't even take care of themselves. I've been saying for a long time, we need a study on the health of doctors. We need to know the life expectancy of doctors. How long are they living? What are they getting sick from? You ever notice that's not publicized? That they do not, America's good for their studies. They got a study on this and a study, they're going to show you all these statistics. They do not show you the statistics of what's wrong with that dumbass doctor you got. So, stop burying animals in your stomach. Because that dead flesh lays up against the walls of your stomach. And then as it starts to rot, it's going to leave a brown spot on the walls of your stomach. It takes forever for that meat to come out. I mean, all you have to do is, if you think I'm lying, find one of your friends that's a vegan. You eat a lot of meat. Go on a fast together. See how quickly they start having bowel movements and see how long it's going to take you to clean out your stomach. It's going to take forever. And then a lot of times you go in the washroom and you having turds come out that's so big they won't even flush. The water just run around them. That's not natural. That you having these long, hard bowel movements that's hard as a brick. It's supposed to be soft. It's supposed to come out and it's just supposed to flush right down. You're supposed to be able to see what you ate when you look in the toilet. You're not just supposed to see no long brown log. that's old as hell? That bowel movement ain't what you ate the day before. That when you eat the meat you eat today is push out the meat you ate 3 days ago. And that's why you see people's stomachs get bigger, 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 bigger. Your stomach not stretching like that because you ate a lot at dinner. Your stomach is stretching because it's all sitting there and you keep putting food in it. You know, you better take care of yourself and stop being a sucker for these industries out here. I keep trying to tell my children all the time, these people don't care nothing about you. They're just like the drug dealers. They're going to sell you the drugs. They sell drugs on TV all night. They're going to sell you all type of stuff that they know is no good for you. They're going to tell you, come get this mac and cheese that got bacon in it and all this. They do not care of the results. They're just in it to make money. And a lot of times when you go and you watch these television shows, I know here in Chicago, they always have the best hamburgers, the best meatloaf, the best mac and cheese shows. And you watch these shows and sure enough, the cook look like he dying. All the people that run the place be a fat mess. They won't even be able to stay in business long because they're headed to the hospital. You're headed for an epidemic because the food you're eating today is not of the quality of the food that your great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents ate. All your food is fake as hell. None of it is real. So people say, man, don't you get tempted to go back and eat the food you used to eat? No, it ain't the food I used to eat. A Hostess pie ain't the same Hostess pie. I don't know what that is y'all eating. When I was a kid, a Hostess pie had apples in it. A Hostess cherry pie, you would see cherries all through it. Now y'all just eating like crust and gel. The crust ain't even as good as the crust was back in the day. The candy the children are eating today is not as good as the candy used to be. I've tasted it before. I don't eat it, but I've tasted it years ago. I would think in the 90s or something like that. Then I'm like, let me see what this shit is y'all eating. I had to spit that shit out. I'm like, these ain't Now-a-laters. These are dilators. I'm like, what the fuck is this y'all eating? The Tootsie Rolls ain't Tootsie Rolls. None of that shit tastes like the original. I'm going to tell you in the dope. None of that shit y'all eating is even nowhere close to the original. Y'all eating some old cheap shit they just throwing together to make a lot of it. They don't give a fuck if it kill you or not. I mean, that's what was up with Obamacare. They didn't want to, President Obama didn't want to tell y'all that it's a bunch of fat people and we headed for a health epidemic. He didn't want to scare the country. This is why Trump couldn't get rid of Obamacare, because the powers that be know that in America, we're headed for a health epidemic. All of these fat people are going to start dying and getting sick at the same time because they all started eating a certain food that was produced at the same time. It's a scientific experiment. If I change over the food and I start selling you bad food in the 80s, then you go 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020, you're on the clock. Now you're going to see the results of the experiment. I mean, when I went to school, we had a fat kid. Now everybody's fat. I see women walk around with tight pants on with their butts shaped nice and then their stomach sticking way out. They just at the club. Walking all around here in Chicago. It done got so bad where women don't even care about how they look. Never in the history before of the United States have women not cared about how they look like they do today. It's more fat, sloppy, ugly, behemoth-looking women these days than ever before. It probably, I'm not out dating because I'm married, but it would probably be pretty difficult to find a nice-looking woman. And the crazy thing, the men are worse. We live in a society where men got all these expectations on the women, and the men are a disgusting mess. Never before in the history of America have men not exercised and stayed in shape and played basketball and want to look right, walk around with his belly hanging all out, looking like he finna have 2 babies in a kangaroo. It don't make no sense. I mean, you go up to the church and see all them fat people up there sweating, talking about in the name of Jesus, and then they got a skinny-ass white Jesus, and you a fat black motherfucker sitting there worshiping a skinny white Jesus. I'm like, these motherfuckers is retarded. Damn, you ain't even trying to look like Christ. First, you don't have the right Christ. Then you ain't trying to look like his body size. You know, you fat Christians, y'all need to get a fat-ass Jesus. Keep it real. I mean, it done got so bad that you even got fat comedic people. And I'm like, dude, he's a fat nigga with a comedic name, okay? But I don't see no fat-ass people on the hieroglyphics. I don't see not one fat person when I look at the pictures in Kemet. So you need to get rid of that name. You're not, you know, Ra Amen Shemet. You should call your name Big Rhino or Walrus Man, you know? Or something simple like Fat Ass. You know, that's a good name for your motherfucking ass. So, you know, take care of yourself. It's your body. Stop listening to other people and do you.
There are many health risks associated with obesity, such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which are risk factors for cardiovascular disease, increased risk of impaired glucose tolerance, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. Also, breathing problems such as sleep apnea and asthma. Psychological stress such as depression, behavior problems, and issues in school can also occur. Low self-esteem and low self-reported quality of life, and also impaired social, physical, and emotional functioning. Health risks that can occur later. Children who are obese are more likely to become obese adults. Adult obesity is associated with a number of serious conditions, including heart disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and cancer. If children are obese, obesity and disease risk factors in adulthood are likely to be more severe. Approximately 72.5 million U.S. adults are obese. Obesity is a factor contributing to several leading causes of death, including heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and some types of cancer. Recent estimates of the annual medical costs of obesity are as high as $147 billion. On average, persons who are obese have medical costs that are $1,429 more than persons of normal weight. The U.S. Surgeon General issued the call to action to prevent and decrease overweight and obesity in 2001, and in 2007, no state had met the Healthy People 2010 objective to reduce obesity prevalence among adults to 15%. Non-Hispanic Black girls and Mexican American boys have the highest rates of obesity, 29.2% and 26.7% respectively. Non-Hispanic white boys and girls have the lowest rates of obesity at 16.7% and 14.5% respectively.